Hello, Dinesh Karthik. Welcome to Film Companion South.
Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you are speaking to us from Abu Dhabi, and we're not going to talk any cricket at all, right? So we're just going to talk about cinema. When I tell you cinema, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Is it a star? Is it a movie? What?
It's the biggest entertainment in my life. Through all the dark moments, and when I say dark moments, literally in a dark room, I have nothing to do, I'm bored. I think cinema has always been my go-to thing consistently in my life.
Right. So, one thing that as a critic, I constantly keep getting asked is, what is your favorite movie of all time? Do you have something like that?
See, I think I'm a little different in terms of personality trait. What I've realized is I don't have one favorite actor, one favorite movie or anything. I like different actors for different reasons, different movies for different reasons. The flavor of the movie at that time, it must have resonated with me. Immediately going back, a director's movie which I've liked consistently, especially his first 3-4 movies, Minnale, Kaka Kaka, and Vinay Thandi Varuya. These are 3 movies that really stuck with me, resonated with me. And, I've watched a lot of his movies that he's done, Vettiyadu Vilayadu. The last couple of movies is not my favorite that he's done, but I think, I've enjoyed a lot of his movies.
So it's like if I were to corner you and say who's the one person you like right now in Tamil cinema, that would be Gautham Menon.
No, sir, I don't think that's a fair statement from my side. I think who's my favorite director all time? I think would be Raju Hirani, because I think he's understood the commercial aspect of it and the cinematic aspect of it really well. I think he's mixed that balance really well, because I think that takes an enormous amount of skill to master, and I think he's kind of done really well in his first few movies. So I'm a big. If I was a producer, I'd put it this way: if I was a producer, I'd go to him and say, "Can you direct a movie?"
Okay, so if like MS Dhoni, The Untold Story, if somebody were to make Dinesh Karthik The Untold Story, you would pick Raju Hirani to direct the movie?
100%. I think I'd pick Raju Hirani, or I feel somebody who's really intense in his storytelling is Vetrimaran. I think I'm a big fan of his work. So, I really wouldn't mind his work, because I think he would get into depths of me that even I'm not aware of. So, that's one of the strengths, I feel, getting into, depths of the subject that he chooses to shoot. So, I think one of those 2 guys for sure.
Okay. And who'd play you?
Interestingly, this rumor has been coming about for some time. There's a guy called Vikrant Masi. I don't know if you know him. Vikrant Masi. Yeah. So apparently he looks a lot like me and all that. So, they said that, he's the closest in terms of resemblance to me. So why not?
Okay, cool. So you mentioned Raju Hirani, right? So one of the things that Three Idiots, when a lot of people talk about the film, is that they say how much they sync with the film and how much it speaks to them, because that whole thing, the premise of the film is about don't get stuck with like a mechanical idea of studies. Try and find out what's your innate talent and kind of try and pursue that. As a cricketer, which is like that's easily one of the things that you have done, because or any kind of like sport, right? Because we all grow up in these maths, science, engineering kind of worlds, and then when you say I want to go play cricket, you're basically following a talent and a passion. Is there a movie like that you say kind of really stuck with you and spoke to you when you were growing up and said, okay, this movie, this is what I need to do?
A lot of these sports movies, a lot of them have these inspirational endings. They always give you a great feel good when you finish the movie. I remember the titles. That is something that I really enjoyed. A coach, bringing together a team. In fact, I thought, recently Ben Affleck did a movie where he's an alcoholic coach who's played for the college team. Recently released basketball.
Yeah.
It was a pretty decent movie as well. A lot of these sports movies, obviously you feel good. Obviously, one of my all-time favorites, has to be, I think, Chak De India. I really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was well made, and I think it really brought out Shah Rukh, an actor in that movie. I thought he acted brilliantly in the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie as well.
So you brought in Shah Rukh into this conversation.
It's actually kind of surreal now. I'm thinking, I've seen so many interviews of you always interviewing, actors and directors and all people involved in the cine industry. This must be a really different experience also, talking to somebody who doesn't know anything about cinema, professionally, and you're talking to a non-cinematic person.
You're talking great about cinema. You have these kind of thing, because see, one of the things is people from inside cinema, right? They look at cinema very differently. Whereas it's a pleasure talking to someone who views cinema like a regular audience member, right? That's because one of the things that cinema does is also, like you just said, it affects you in different ways that you don't realize. So I was going to ask you, you've said that you've liked a lot of films like with these sports themes, but were there any low phases in your life where you watched a movie or listened to a movie song or something like that kind of helped you through? Is there something like that?
100%. I think a movie that I'll always go to whenever I'm little low is Rocky 3.
Okay.
More, doing
Specifically.
all sorts of things in a very, in a different way to what is the normal way. And, just fabulous movie. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And even though Sylvester Stallone, any other movie that he's acted, I can't understand half the time what he's trying to say. But that movie was special. I thought it was a really, that whole series, I think, is a very special. And that's where I think, sports movies made a mark and started, a lot of people started believing in those kind of stories and scripts, and those kind of movies came along. So I really am a big fan of Rocky series. If you had to make me choose one, I think Rocky 3. I think.
So what specifically about that? Because they're all kind of underdog stories.
No, I just like the music that keeps playing when you go to gym. Dang, 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 dang. It's just a great start. Just that music that just sits with me. I think when you listen to some music, you're always remembering something. And I think that song, whenever it is played in the gym, whenever I'm on the way to a ground, wherever I listen, the first thing it goes is him running on the steps up and down. It's just those are. I think that's what movies are all about. It should make you remember something, reminisce about something, or make you feel. It should leave a nice taste in your mouth. And I think that kind of movie really did.
If there is a movie that you were to choose that is closest to that had a protagonist that's closest to the kind of person you are, is there some such movie like that?
I think that Bommarillu Jenilia in Tamil, I think it was called Santosh Subramaniam. I'm a little bit like that, like Jenilia, a lot happy-go-lucky, bubbly, lot of energy, and naive at times. I think I would relate a lot to that character.
To Genelia's character?
Yeah. Very innocent. I mean, not very innocent is the only part I'm not very sure, but the rest of it, bubbly, a lot of energy, keep jumping about, do things, silly pranks. Those, I think that's something that I think I'm very close to.
You just broke my heart a bit. I thought you were going to say something like Amir Khan and Lagan or something like that. Building a team and, like bringing everyone together and, that kind of stuff. So
I think I'm as a personality, I'm not somebody who's too serious or too uptight. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. And, obviously I think when I don the captain's role, which I have to now, then I kind of, step into those shoes and I think differently and do things differently. But I want to be very true to my personality. I think just because, I'm a leader doesn't mean I should, lose my innate self, which is to, have fun with life and be that nice person. And, that's something that I've always believed in. And I've always grown up, with my parents and all that. The fact that I want to be a good human being is something that is of paramount importance to me. And the rest of it revolves around that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was just kidding with that thing, of course. Fair
enough, because, I thought you were looking for a masculine, macho kind of guy. And
when you said protagonist, I thought,
so it's not an
it's just like, I'm trying to relate the two people. And I was like, okay, maybe there's a thing, But, most sports movies have a certain arc to them, right? And one of the big, like you mentioned, Chak De India, one of the big must-haves in a sports movie is this very inspiring speech that's given in the locker room just before either the final match or there's one the last half of the game or something like that, right? Is there one that you would pick over all else? Like one?
I think the Independence Day speech given by that actor, President of the United States at that point of time in that movie, I think he'll give a speech to all the Marines, all the people there, and that was a fabulous speech. I really enjoyed it. I think it really gave me goosebumps. It just made me feel good.
But what about it? It's like just the way he inspired people?
The way the tone in which he said it, at that point of time, the words he used to, get the information across and just what the country meant to him and what these people are doing, what it means to them as a country. And it just made me feel good. I think more importantly, I think the dialogue delivery and the tone used, I think that was what really resonated with me. I think the same guy acted in another TV series where he's the head of a TV anchor and all TV news channel, and he gives this three-minute monologue. And it's supposed to be one of the best monologues, in a long time, I guess. So that's again, I watched that TV, series just for that monologue. It's the first scene of that TV series, and it's a fabulous, 3-minute monologue. And those kind of things I really enjoy. If somebody speaks well and the dialogue is good and people are putting effort to make sense, I think it really resonates well with me.
When you're at home or not off season and things like that, do you go to the theaters often to watch movies?
No, so not off late. I don't go too much. It gets a little hard. A lot of times, we are a group of friends. If we all decide, we went Kabali. We all went together first day. I think in the evening show we went. It's not like I don't go at all. I do go. A one-odd movie. More often than not, if it's a good movie, wait for it to pass a few days and then the crowd settles down. Or on a weekday, those kind of days we pick and choose where there's not too much crowd. So we tend to go for movies, but not too many. I think. I like I like the fact that I can watch it, these days at my own time and with my own, loved ones, so to say. As I'm speaking, I'm just thinking. I think a movie that really, kept me very happy for at least a week after me watching it was Bommarillu. I think Siddharth and Janelia were just because I keep looking for that movie which doesn't have a villain in it, which doesn't have a fight scene in between suddenly at the end, which doesn't have a sad. I think that was the one movie from start to end I was smiling throughout. I think, and that's probably one of the few handful of movies that I watched twice in the theater, and I think that will be actually I should keep calling it my all-time favorite. I think it was a fabulous movie, that movie.
Right.
Just the way it was taken, and the whole all the aspects attached
and
to
a
it.
complete feel-good kind of a thing. You come out of it with a high. That's kind of a nice thing.
Always when I watch a movie, obviously consistently over a period of time, there are some trends set. Obviously in these kind of movies, it's like obviously both the hero and heroine love each other. Then obviously there's always a villain and they'll cause a problem. Then there'll be a fight, but they'll end up being together. In this scene, I was waiting for that villain or that one scene where there's a fight. Nothing like that. Throughout the movie, there's a smile on my face, and maybe for that one dialogue towards the end where I think the father and the son have it. That is the only time maybe, but I mean that was a fabulous movie. I thought the director broke a lot of stereotypes in that movie without having any possible villain or sad scene or sad song in between. Split up and then got together. Those kind of things. It was just a very nice movie.
So do you talk a lot of movies with your co-owners?
Yeah, I think I believe I'm cricket's Baradwaj Rangan. I keep reviewing movies with my friends. I just talk about all sorts of nonsense. To my friends and all, obviously, we do discuss a lot of movies. I mean, we have our own debates about who's the best actor, which is the best movie. These kind of debates keep going, and obviously, I have friends who are related, who have relatives within the film industry. Personally, I know a couple of actors, a couple of people related to the movie industry here and there, and I obviously. I think movies played a really big part in not only my life. My father is a massive movie buff. I think it's just come from generation to generation where we've enjoyed watching movies.
With movies in our country, it also means movie songs, right? So, are you a big fan of movie songs?
Yeah. I mean, like everybody else, I'm a fan of. Obviously, when I'm a little sad, down and all, Ilayaraja. Otherwise, throughout, it's an A.R. Rahman. I'm an A.R. Rahman fan. But I'm not one of those guys, who watch songs. There are cricketers who watch songs. Like, they'll keep watching songs. I don't have that habit. Or, people used to buy VCDs with songs. And, those. I'm not one of those guys. I like to listen to good music in good systems, basically. I like to just get a good feel for the song. So, I'm that kind of guy.
So, name one Ilayaraja song and one Rahman song, just to kind of get an idea of your taste.
I think when it comes to A.R. Rahman, I think that one song that really I've enjoyed, whenever I listen, two songs actually say, recent past, but olden days, a lot more songs, but now one is Nenji Kulle, I think it just stuck with me. Nenji Kulle, and the other one is Boo Me in Chekkachi Vandamanam. I really liked, and the one beautiful component to both these songs is the similar thing is both were sung by Shakti Sri Gopal. I think, I'm a fan of a song, fan of a singing rather. So, I genuinely like both those songs. Ilayaraja, I can give you a lot of songs. My all-time favorite, if you had to say, DK, give me one song which is all-time favorite, I think it has to be from Avadaram. The name of the song is Sing Sir. I know you know what I'm trying to say.
You're talking about Tendal Vande Tindum.
Yes, exactly that. That is my all-time favorite song. See, I forget like this. I know I'm prompting you, but I genuinely forget. But that's my all-time favorite song. I think I've listened to it a million times over and over again. So,
as is everybody else. No, one thing that's very interesting is, when it comes to Rahman, right? There are people that say they prefer this Rahman to that Rahman. Both songs that you chose were relatively later in the career of Rahman, right? Because they're like fairly new songs. You're talking about 2010s is when both the.
No. I think
when you go back a little. So I was like the early Rahman, do you have some favorites like when you're talking about the Chikku that time and all that? So
why not? That in the Gentleman, I really like that song. I think that's a song. I don't know. Do you have to tell me actually? I believe that he had a different sound engineer then and a different sound engineer now because his songs, the quality. Look, when I say this, I can't say it on a public platform because I don't think I'm well equipped to speak about these kind of things.
No, but that's what you feel. So it's like you don't have to come with a technical certificate. It's how you feel.
I feel every music director has a certain, a certain sense of sound and things that you attach to. I think then it was a lot different. I mean, I remember this Thiruda Thiruda on the background music was unreal. I think it was one of his best albums. I mean, high quality, that even Rangila, I think, top notch, just the overall quality. I mean, obviously these days he's doing so much more work, so it's a little different, but, these days, when I listen to A.R. Rahman, I'm like, sometimes I think, oh, because before when I listen, I know, okay, this is a song straight away when it comes here. Sometimes, oh, it's A.R. Rahman song. It just takes that extra bit of time. But, almost on all forums, when people ask me, who's the one person that you want to meet, I've always said it's A.R. Rahman. I think I'm a big fan of him. Obviously, a lot for his work, but I think more for the person he is, because, what he did on that Oscar stage was something that really stuck with me. And I believe that, a lot of Indians should, look at that and get inspiration from that, and believe in your mother tongue, and believe in your roots and where you've come from. And that one thing just stuck with me a lot. Even in that Oscars, when he did that Oscar Sangamam, that small bit for 1.5, that's one of my favorite bits of music that I keep listening to.
Okay. When you say what he did on the Oscar stage, you mean when he said Ella Pugaram Veeravan, that one?
Ella Pugaram Veeravan. He spoke in Tamil. It's not easy. I mean, when I can say it because I've traveled. I have done what minuscule amount what he has done in terms of going on stages and speaking in front of people from all communities, all color, race, religion, everything. But to go there and stand in front of so many white people and so many different races and religion and speak in Tamil, even if that means for a second, just shows how much those things he believe. I mean, not only he values, and he the kind of person that he is. It's very easy, to win an Oscar, the first person ever to win an Oscar from India, to get on that stage and forget those small things that that he grew up with. And at that moment, all you're thinking about is saying thank you to the people who you offered the movie and all those kind of things. Because talking about Danny Boyle, the biggest of producers, and the guys who are involved with it. But what he didn't forget was the fact that where he came from and what mattered to him was something that stuck with him. It was not only his mother, but also his motherland, his mother tongue. And I think that's something that really stuck with me as a human being. And I became a slightly different person when I spoke on stages, because a lot of times I realized when I go to different countries, inadvertently I used to pick up that accent a little bit and try to put on a fake accent at times without my knowledge. Right. But I've kind of reduced that. I mean, people who travel a lot, I think will kind of understand what I'm trying to say here. It's very easy to get lost in the crowd there, right. But to still, own up to where you're from and your mother tongue and, your roots basically is a hard ask. Even though it's a simple ask, it's a really hard ask of people. And I think I really respect him for that one small gesture. And I'll always be his fan for the rest of my life, only for that small thing that he's done, I think.
Amazing. Have you also interacted with Shah Rukh a lot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot would be very relative. I think I've interacted with him and, terrific guy. I mean,
no, the reason I ask is because you mentioned Rahman, and he's somebody who literally pulled him up by his own bootstraps. Like, as the saying goes, it's like came from nowhere, no background, just suddenly comes up a phenomenal talent and rises on his own merit. Shah Rukh is another person like that, no film background, nothing. He just comes, does some things and then becomes a superstar. Have you learned something from him? Is it like hanging around with him, or is it just like more like a friendly kind of thing? Because when you mentioned Rahman, it almost like you took a lesson home from what Rahman did. What's it been like with Shah Rukh?
One lesson that I learned with Shah Rukh, and he taught me this personally, but I actually want to keep it a secret. I shouldn't say, because I feel it's a special lesson. Right. But I'll give you a little insight, a basis of where it is. And the greatest thing that I learned from him, or the nicest thing that I learned from him, that he's a leader at heart. Okay. And when he spoke, I could see that, he was worried for his, obviously I'm not going to get into the fan aspect of it, but, for the people who work for Red Chillies, the amount of love and affection he had from them, and how he looks at himself when it comes to them is something special. And, being a leader of the KKR team, that was something that I really learned from him. And that comes from a person who knows what it is to lead a group of people in tough times. And obviously, with the pandemic and everything, going through that, to hear him speak was special. I don't think he would have said those lines to too many other people, because, he looked at me as KKR's captain and felt that, DK, I think you can look at this as a leader. And I'm like, wow, that's a great line, what he said. And it kind of stuck to me. Interestingly, even before I joined this team, he was my favorite actually, not because of his acting skills, but only because he came up on his own legs in that industry, which is, I believe, a very hard industry to be a part of without any Godfather and all of that. So I had a lot of respect for him. And you take any movie, they'll be like, the next thing, tu kya agla Shah Rukh Khan banega kya? That's the kind of status he had, a cult status, because he came up on his own legs. And I think everybody in the industry, if there is one thing that they respect him, is the fact that he stood on his own legs and carved a niche for himself the way he thought was best for himself.
Right. So when you have like a low moment in sport, let's say, has it, because the thing is, as an actor, one goes through real ups and downs. I mean, and one of the things that's common between actors and sportsmen is that your ups and downs play out in public, in front of the public eye. Like if you win in front of everybody. If things don't go well, it's everybody comments on what you do, how you so how Shah Rukh acts, how Dinesh Karthik should have done this. This is the wrong person to do this. He should have actually sent this person into bowl. There's going to be everybody, saying all these things, right? It's like, because everybody has a right. They've kind of invested emotionally in actors and cricketers. Has that aspect ever come in between you two, as in when you're discussing live or something like that?
I think when it comes to sport, I think our wins and losses are very fast and very quick compared to actor. I think an actor, could, like if you take Amir Khan, he acts one movie every 2 years. So, he could put in all the effort for 2 years and that goes to waste. Like say, as an example, the Thugs of Hindustan, I don't think it did really well, but the amount of effort he would have put in would be the same that he put in Dangal. But the fact that the movie didn't do well, 2 years literally goes for a waste. Whereas in a cricketer's life, obviously you play a game today, you have another game in 3 days or 4 days time. You always have a chance of retribution there. But what's common in both those threads is the fact that you deal with failures on a consistent basis, and more often than not, you have to deal more with failures than success. And what that teaches you as a person is similar in terms of lessons. I think that is common to both movies and cricket. And I think life's greatest achievers have more often than not seen failures than successes. And I think that is a common thread to both actors and cricketers or sportsmen for general.
Okay. Now, from all the players that you've played with, you've been on teams with, who would you say are the craziest movie or music buffs, music buffs?
I mean, this is the easiest question you asked me till now. I have no doubt it's R.Ashwin. He's a mad guy. He can remember dialogues that, oh my God, unbelievable. I don't know. I mean, he's one of those guys who has an immense memory. I mean, he can say dialogues. Which dialogue was said by Countermany and what is the counter? Sendilena, the counter Kurtar. It is just fabulous. I mean, he is the unreal. I mean, of late he's doing shows of his own, and he obviously speaks a little bit of movies and dialogues and all of that. A little bit of that side has come out of him as well. But insane amount of knowledge about movies and just the you take any situation and he'll compare it to a movie and a dialogue and what this guy said and what that guy said, and I always get fascinated because I am the stark opposite of him. I know that's where I'll stop because I really have forgotten it, and I just can't remember it. I'm not able to recollect it. So I'm in awe of that guy for both the fact that he remembers the movie and more so the dialogue and who said it and whatnot.
Cool. Thank you so much for agreeing to this cricketers on cinema conversation, because I just had this thing that, okay, you're going to go and have this really intense phase. So I thought, let's just have this conversation about cinema. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and all the very best for what comes ahead. It's going to be very interesting to see you guys play in this time with an empty stadium, because we're still wondering what's going to happen to the movies. Right now, theaters are not open yet. They're talking about things like, I think, maybe 33% occupancy and things like that. So I don't know what's really going to happen. But I hope you find a way to cut through that silence, if you will, and have a great season.
Thank you so much, Barry. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks. Bye.